filthy strays like you don't stop in our town," Dwayne Cutter snarled, jabbing a grease-blackened finger into Maya Henderson's chest, rocking her against the car door. His men tightened the circle, engines rumbling like a warning. "You get gas where your kind belongs," he added, nodding for two bikers to seize her arms. Their fists clamped around her biceps, pinning her in place, while another biker lifted his phone. "Come on, sweetheart, give us that scared look." Maya didn't move, didn't blink, held herself still like steel. None of them noticed the lone Harley rolling closer, carrying the man they'd soon regret provoking. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Maya's heart thundered in her chest, but she kept her breathing steady. 25 years of nursing had taught her to stay calm in emergencies. This was just another crisis to manage, even if her hands trembled slightly as she gripped her gas pump. The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked asphalt. Heat waves rippled off the chrome of the motorcycles surrounding her, their engines growling like hungry predators. The smell of hot metal and exhaust fumes made her nose wrinkle. "I asked you a question," Dwayne sneered, taking another step closer. His leather vest creaked as he moved, patches displaying Confederate flags and racist symbols that made Maya's stomach turn. "You sure this is your neighborhood, sweetheart?" Maya kept her voice level, professional, the same tone she used with difficult patients. "I'm just getting gas, then I'll be on my way." One of the bikers laughed, the sound sharp and ugly. "Hear that, boys? She'll be on her way." He pulled out his phone and started recording, pointing it directly at her face. "Come on, smile for us." Through the gas station's grimy window, Maya caught Lena's eye. The clerk's face was pale, her hands fidgeting with her phone before quickly dropping it below the counter. Maya couldn't blame her for hesitating. In a town like this, calling the police might make things worse instead of better. "Actually," Dwayne said, moving to lean against Maya's car door, his fingers leaving greasy smudges on the clean blue paint, "maybe you ought to stick around. We don't get many visitors out here." The way he said visitors made it clear he meant something far uglier. Another biker spat on the ground near Maya's shoes. "Yeah, this ain't really your kind of place." Maya's grip tightened on the gas pump. She'd lived through decades of this. The subtle threats, the not-so-subtle slurs, the constant reminder that some people viewed her very existence as a provocation. Usually, she would swallow her anger, stay quiet, live to drive another day. But something in her had shifted. Maybe it was exhaustion from her 12-hour shift. Maybe it was the weight of all those years of keeping her head down. "I have every right to be here," she said, her voice carrying across the lot. "And I'm not going to pretend otherwise to make you comfortable." The biker's grins faltered for a moment, surprised by her defiance. Dwayne's face darkened as he pushed off her car, boots scraping against pavement as he stepped even closer. "Rights?" He spat the word like it tasted bad. "Let me tell you something about rights in Iron County." A biker with a patchy beard reached out and slapped Maya's gas cap closed with a sharp click. Another one revved his engine, the sudden roar making her flinch despite herself. They were playing with her, like cats toying with a mouse. Inside the store, Lena had disappeared from view. Maya couldn't tell if she'd finally called for help or if she was simply hiding. The sun felt too bright, too exposed, making her feel like she was on stage in some terrible performance. "We keep order around here," Dwayne continued, now close enough that Maya could smell stale cigarettes on his breath. "Been doing it for generations. And we don't much like outsiders coming in, thinking they can just—" "I'm not an outsider," Maya cut him off, surprising herself with her own steadiness. "I've lived in this county for 30 years. I've probably taken care of your relatives in the hospital. I've helped deliver your neighbors' babies. I belong here just as much as you do." That was the wrong thing to say. Maya knew it as soon as the words left her mouth. Dwayne's face twisted into something ugly, and the circle of bikers tightened. Someone knocked over her purse, spilling its contents across the hot pavement. Her keys glinted in the sunlight, just out of reach. "You hear that, boys?" Dwayne's voice dropped to a dangerous growl. "She thinks she belongs here. Thinks she's just like us." He reached out and flicked Maya's nurse ID badge where it hung from her scrub top. Got herself some education, got herself a nice car, and now she thinks she can talk back? The biker with the phone laughed. "Give us a speech about equality next. That always goes over real well around here." Maya stood her ground, though every instinct screamed at her to run. But there was nowhere to run to. They had her boxed in completely. The gas pump was still in her hand, her only possible weapon if things got worse. Her car was behind her, but Dwayne blocked the door. The store was 30 feet away, but more bikers lounged between her and that potential sanctuary. The sun continued to beat down, indifferent to the scene playing out below. A car passed on the distant highway, too far to see what was happening in this little pocket of hatred and fear. Maya thought of all the times she'd stayed quiet, all the times she'd swallowed her dignity to stay safe. She was tired of it. Bone tired. She squared her shoulders and lifted her chin, looking Dwayne directly in the eyes. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her cower, even as the circle of bikers drew tighter, their engines rumbling like thunder before a storm. Maya's throat tightened as Dwayne snatched her fallen keys from the ground, dangling them just out of reach. The metal clinked together, a mocking chime in the thick afternoon air. Her car keys, her house keys, her work ID access card, her whole life jangling in this man's dirty fingers. "Now, what kind of neighborhood did you say this was?" Dwayne twirled the keys, his smile cruel. The other bikers shifted closer, forming a tighter circle. Their leather vests creaked, patches displaying skulls and Confederate flags catching the harsh sunlight. Through the gas station's clouded windows, Maya glimpsed Lena hovering in the doorway. The clerk's fingers trembled around her phone, thumb hovering over the keypad, but never pressing down. Their eyes met briefly before Lena looked away, shame and fear warring on her face. "Please," Maya said, keeping her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I just want to finish getting my gas and leave." She gestured at the pump, still inserted in her car's tank. A biker with a patchy beard and yellowed teeth stepped forward. "Oh, you ain't going nowhere just yet." He slammed the fuel door shut with a sharp crack that made Maya jump. The sound echoed across the empty lot like a gunshot. "See, girl," Dwayne drawled, emphasizing the word girl with obvious contempt. "These back roads can be mighty dangerous. People disappear out here all the time." He tossed her keys to another biker, who caught them with a laugh. "Ain't that right, boys?" Murmurs of agreement rippled through the group. One of them, younger than the rest, with a fresh-looking swastika tattoo on his neck, pulled out his phone and started recording. "Come on, sweetheart, say something for our followers." Maya's hands clenched into fists at her sides. 25 years of dealing with difficult patients, of staying professional in the face of prejudice, of swallowing her anger. It all bubbled up inside her chest. "I need to get home. My patients are expecting me tomorrow." "Your patients." Another biker spat on the ground near her feet. "Ain't that sweet? Playing nurse to good folk who don't want your kind touching them anyway." Maya took a careful step toward her car door, trying to keep her movements calm and deliberate. "You don't know anything about my patients or my work." A meaty hand grabbed her upper arm, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. Maya jerked away instinctively, her nursing shoes scraping against the asphalt as she stumbled back. "Don't touch me!" Her voice came out stronger than she'd expected, echoing across the lot. The laughter died. Dwayne's face darkened, his earlier mocking smile twisting into something ugly. "Getting mighty uppity there," he growled, closing the distance between them. "Seems like somebody needs to teach you some respect." The other bikers pressed closer, engines still idling, creating a wall of chrome and leather that blocked any escape route. The young one with the phone kept filming, his grin wide and cruel. "I said back off." Maya lifted her chin, even as her heart hammered against her ribs. She'd spent too many years being polite, being careful, trying not to rock the boat. But something in her had snapped. "I have every right to be here." "Rights?" Dwayne barked out a harsh laugh. "You really don't understand where you are, do you?" He looked around at his companions. "Boys, I think we need to explain how things work in Iron County." The circle tightened further. Maya could smell their sweat, their leather, the alcohol on some of their breaths. The sun beat down mercilessly, but she felt cold all over. "Last chance," Dwayne said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Apologize for that attitude, and maybe we let you crawl back to whatever hole you came from." Maya met his gaze steadily. "I have nothing to apologize for." Dwayne's hand shot out, shoving her shoulder hard. Maya stumbled back against her car, the metal hot against her back through her scrubs. The group of bikers laughed, the sound ugly and anticipatory. "Wrong answer," Dwayne snarled, raising his hand again. "Let's see if we can't—" A new sound cut through the tension, the distinctive growl of a Harley-Davidson, different from the Iron County Sun's bikes. Heads turned as the motorcycle appeared at the lot's entrance, its rider tall and broad-shouldered. The bike rolled to a stop, its engines rumbled, dropping to a low idle. Sunlight glinted off the chrome and the rider's leather cut, highlighting the unmistakable Hell's Angels patch on the back. The man astride it was older, his face weathered by years and hard miles. The Iron County Suns shifted uneasily, recognizing the patch. Even Dwayne's hand lowered slightly as he watched Jack Rebel Malloy swing his leg over his bike and plant his boots on the asphalt. The new arrival killed his engine, the sudden silence heavy with tension. Maya stood frozen against her car, watching as the older biker straightened to his full height, his eyes taking in the scene before him with cold calculation. No one moved. Even the young biker's phone lowered slightly, though it kept recording. The afternoon heat seemed to press down harder, the air thick with the scent of hot metal and fear. The rumble of engines died one by one, leaving an eerie quiet hanging over the sun-baked lot. Jack Malloy dismounted his Harley with deliberate slowness, his weathered boots hitting the asphalt with a solid thud. The Hell's Angels patch on his cut seemed to absorb the harsh sunlight, commanding attention from every pair of eyes in the lot. He took his time, scanning the scene like he was counting heads and measuring distances. His gaze swept from Maya pressed against her car, to Dwayne's aggressive stance, to the circle of Iron County Suns who had suddenly gone very still. "Afternoon," Jack said, his voice gravelly and low. He didn't raise it, didn't need to. The quiet carried his words clearly across the lot. "Looks like quite a welcome party you boys got going here." Dwayne's jaw worked, his earlier confidence flickering as he processed the patch on Jack's back. The other bikers shifted their weight, some taking small steps backward, creating gaps in their circle. Even the one filming lowered his phone slightly, though the red recording light still blinked. Jack walked forward with measured steps, his boots crunching on loose gravel. He moved like someone who knew exactly how much space he needed, exactly how far he could let someone get before reacting. There was nothing rushed about it, nothing that screamed of fear or uncertainty. He positioned himself carefully between Maya and Dwayne. "Way I see it," he said, "this lady's trying to get her gas and head home. Think we ought to let her do that?" Maya stayed pressed against her car, her heart still racing, but something in Jack's calm presence made her straighten her spine a little. She could see his profile now. Lined face, gray at his temples, old scars around one eye that spoke of fights from long ago. Dwayne found his voice, though it came out higher than before. "This ain't your business, old-timer. Why don't you ride on before you hurt yourself?" A few nervous laughs rippled through the gang, but they died quickly when Jack didn't react. He just stood there, solid as a wall, hands loose at his sides, but ready. "Last chance," Jack said quietly. "Let the lady finish her business and go home." "Or what, Grandpa?" Dwayne stepped forward, trying to reclaim his authority in front of his men. He gave Jack a hard shove to the chest. "You gonna give us a lecture about—" Jack moved like lightning. His elbow shot up, catching Dwayne's nose with a wet crunch. Before the blood could even start flowing, his knee drove into the younger man's gut, doubling him over. The movement flowed seamlessly into grabbing another biker by the hair and introducing his face to the side of a pickup truck with a metallic thunk. The lot erupted into chaos. The Iron County Suns surged forward, but Jack was already moving. There was nothing fancy about his fighting, no martial arts kicks or showboating. Just brutal, efficient violence born from decades of hard experience. A biker's knee went the wrong way with a sharp crack. Another's fingers snapped as Jack stripped away a makeshift weapon. Bodies hit the ground, cursing and moaning. Each movement connected with terrible purpose. Every strike meant to end the fight quickly, rather than look impressive. Maya's hands shook as she pulled out her phone and started recording. The screen wavered, but captured everything. Jack's methodical dismantling of the gang, the way he seemed to know exactly where each attacker would come from, how he used their own momentum against them. Inside the store, Lena Ortiz gripped her phone tight, fingers hovering over 911. She started to dial, then remembered all the times Sheriff Harland had laughed with these same bikers, how he'd ignored complaint after complaint. Her thumb hit the end call button before it could connect. She couldn't risk making it worse. The fight lasted less than 2 minutes. When it was done, half the Iron County Suns were sprawled across the lot, nursing various injuries. The others had backed away to their bikes, uncertain whether to flee or try for another rush. Jack stood in the center of it all, breathing heavily, but still upright. A thin sheen of sweat was the only sign he'd exerted himself. He hadn't even lost his balance once during the whole thing. Dwayne lay flat on his back, trying to squirm away, but Jack's boot came down on his throat, not crushing, just holding him in place. The pressure was clear in Dwayne's voice when he managed to speak. You're supposed to be done, Malloy," he wheezed, blood from his broken nose painting his teeth red. "You're on parole. You should know better than crossing us." Maya's phone nearly slipped from her fingers. She looked at Lena, who had ventured to the store's doorway, and saw her own shock reflected there. This wasn't some random Hell's Angel stepping in. He knew these men, had history with them. The bright afternoon sun beat down on the scene. Jack standing over Dwayne, Maya's phone still recording, scattered bikers nursing wounds and wounded pride, Lena watching it all with wide eyes. The air smelled of gasoline, blood, and decades of complicated history about to spill over. Jack lifted his boot from Dwayne's throat, taking a calculated step back. The Iron County Suns leader rolled to his side, coughing and spitting blood onto the sun-baked asphalt. Around them, his battered crew struggled to their feet, some helping others limp toward their motorcycles. "This ain't over, Malloy," Dwayne rasped, wiping his nose with the back of his hand. "You just signed up for a world of hurt." "Get out of here," Jack said, his voice flat and cold. The bikers fired up their engines one by one, the angry growl of motorcycles filling the lot. They peeled out in a cloud of dust and exhaust fumes, their chrome flashing in the afternoon sun as they disappeared down the highway. The noise faded, leaving behind an uneasy silence broken only by the quiet hum of the gas station's ancient AC unit. Jack turned to Maya, his weathered face set in hard lines. "You hurt?" Maya touched her arm where one of the bikers had grabbed her. A bruise was already forming, but she shook her head. "I'm okay, thank you. I don't know what would have happened if—" "Don't mention it." Jack cut her off, already turning toward his bike. "Best you forget this happened." "Wait," Maya said, stepping forward. "At least, let me—" "Ma'am," Jack interrupted again, his voice softening slightly. "The less you know about me, the better. Those men—" He glanced down the road where the gang had disappeared. "They've got friends in ugly places." Lena emerged from the store, wringing her hands. Her face was pale, and she kept glancing nervously up and down the highway. "I'm so sorry," she said to Maya. "I should have called someone, but—" She swallowed hard. "The sheriff, he's real close with those guys. Last time someone complained, their house got vandalized the next day. Nobody could prove anything, but everyone knew." Maya nodded grimly. She'd seen enough in her years of living here. The selective enforcement, the dismissive attitudes, the way certain complaints somehow never made it into official reports. Jack mounted his Harley, but Maya stepped closer before he could start it. "Whatever your past with them is," she said firmly, "what you did today mattered. Thank you." Something flickered across Jack's face. Pain, maybe, or regret, before he covered it with a grunt and kicked his bike to life. Without another word, he rolled out of the lot, heading in the opposite direction from the gang. Maya's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out to find several missed calls from her nephew AJ. Her hands shook slightly as she hit redial. "Auntie!" AJ's voice crackled through the speaker. "I've been trying to reach you. You okay?" "I'm fine, baby," Maya assured him, then described what had happened while Lena hovered nearby, still looking nervous. "You got it all on video?" AJ asked. "Send it to me right now. This needs to go public." "I don't know." Maya hesitated, thinking about Lena's warning about retaliation. "Auntie Maya," AJ's voice grew serious. "How many times have we watched stuff like this happen? How many times have they gotten away with it because nobody spoke up? You've got proof this time." Maya sent him the video, then drove home in a daze, her mind replaying the confrontation over and over. She fixed herself dinner but barely tasted it, checking her phone constantly as AJ texted updates about trimming and stabilizing the footage. As night fell, she sat in her living room, staring at the upload screen. Her finger hovered over the post button as doubts crashed through her mind. What if the gang came after her? What if the sheriff found a way to make her life hell? What if? Then she remembered all the times she'd stayed quiet. The snide comments at work she'd pretended not to hear. The way she planned her routes to avoid certain areas. The constant mental calculations of what time was safe to get gas, buy groceries, exist in public spaces. She thought of her late husband saying, "Sometimes staying safe means staying silent, and sometimes staying silent kills you slower than taking the risk." Maya typed a simple caption. "This happened today at the Highway 23 gas station. Iron County Sons gang harassing me until a stranger intervened. Sheriff's office has ignored complaints about this group for years. Not staying quiet anymore." Her thumb pressed post before she could second-guess herself again. She tried to sleep, but kept checking her phone. By midnight, the video had hundreds of shares. Comments poured in, people recognizing the gang members, sharing their own stories of harassment, praising the mysterious Hell's Angel who stepped in. Local social justice groups began tagging news outlets. Maya watched the numbers climb, feeling simultaneously exposed and empowered. Every share was like a tiny act of defiance. Every supportive comment, a brick in a wall of solidarity. But she also knew that somewhere out there, Dwayne and his crew were seeing the same shares, reading the same comments, nursing their wounds and their wounded pride. By sunrise, the video had gone viral. Over 10,000 shares, comments flooding in from across the country. Maya sat at her kitchen table, coffee growing cold beside her, watching the notification counter tick upward. Her phone hadn't stopped buzzing since she woke up. She clicked on one comment that read, "Iron County's sons have been terrorizing people for years. Finally, someone caught them on camera. Time for things to change." Her hands trembled slightly as she set the phone down. There was no going back now. The truth was out there, spreading faster than she could track it, beyond anyone's power to contain it. The morning sun streamed through Maya's kitchen window as she sat at her small oak table, both hands wrapped around a coffee mug that had long since gone cold. Her phone buzzed constantly, each notification making her flinch slightly. The video had exploded overnight, reaching far beyond Iron County's borders. "You're so brave," read one comment. "About time someone exposed these thugs," said another. But mixed in with the support were darker messages, racial slurs, threats of violence, promises to teach her a lesson. Some came from accounts with Confederate flag avatars, others from blank profiles created in the last few hours. Maya's hand trembled as she scrolled, making the screen shake. She set the phone down and took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The morning news played quietly on her small kitchen TV, showing traffic and weather. The normal rhythm of life continuing as if everything hadn't just changed. Her phone lit up with AJ's face, and she grabbed it quickly. "Morning, baby." "Auntie, you seeing all this?" AJ's voice crackled with energy despite the early hour. "The video's everywhere. Civil rights groups are sharing it. News outlets are asking for permission to air it. You did the right thing." "And the threats?" Maya asked quietly. "I'm documenting everything," AJ assured her. "Screenshots, archives, IP addresses when I can get them. I'm catching an early bus down there. Should be in town by tonight. We need to—" A flash of white and blue through her front window caught Maya's attention. Her breath caught as she watched a patrol car pull up to her curb, followed by another. "AJ, I need to go. Police are here." "Record everything," AJ said quickly. "I mean it, Auntie. Start your phone recording right now." Maya ended the call and propped her phone against the fruit bowl, camera facing the front door. Through the window, she watched Sheriff Roy Harlan step out of his vehicle, adjusting his belt with practiced casualness. Two deputies flanked him as he approached her porch, his boots heavy on the wooden steps. The doorbell chimed. Maya stood slowly, smoothed her shirt, and walked to answer it. Her heart hammered, but she kept her face neutral as she opened the door. "Ms. Henderson." Sheriff Harlan's smile was TV commercial perfect, not quite reaching his pale blue eyes. "Beautiful morning, isn't it? Mind if we come in for a chat?" Maya gestured them inside, noting how the deputies positioned themselves. One by the door, one near the kitchen entrance, boxing her in without being obvious about it. "Coffee?" she offered, more to have something to do with her hands than actual hospitality. "That's mighty kind, but we won't take much of your time." Harlan settled into her armchair uninvited, still wearing that practiced smile. "Quite a day you had yesterday. Wanted to check how you're holding up." "I'm fine, Sheriff," Maya said, remaining standing. "Thank you for your concern." "That was brave of you," he continued, "standing up to those fellows like that. Course, things could have gotten real ugly if that biker hadn't shown up." He leaned forward slightly. "Tell me about him. Jack Malloy, right? You know him well?" Maya kept her voice steady. "Never met him before yesterday. He helped me when no one else would." Harlan nodded sympathetically. "See, that's what concerns me. Jack Malloy? He's got quite a history. Violent offenses, gang affiliations, currently on parole, in fact. Yesterday, he assaulted several local citizens in broad daylight. Maya noticed the careful choice of words. Local citizens. Not gang members, not attackers. Just local citizens who happened to be assaulted by an ex-con. Those local citizens were threatening me, Maya said firmly. They put hands on me. Mr. Malloy stopped them. And we take those allegations very seriously, Harland assured her, though his tone suggested anything but. But you understand how this video you posted, well, it's stirring up a lot of trouble. Outside agitators using it to paint our community in a bad light. Folks getting riled up, making threats. He spread his hands. As sheriff, I'm concerned about everyone's safety. One of the deputies shifted his weight, belt creaking. Maya felt the pressure of their presence, the implicit threat in their positions and postures. That video's causing problems for everyone, Harland continued. Might be best for all concerned if you took it down. Let proper authorities handle this through official channels. His smile widened a fraction. For everyone's safety, you understand. Maya met his gaze. Are you ordering me to remove it? Oh, no, nothing like that. Harland chuckled, but his eyes remained cold. Just offering friendly advice. Iron County's a small community. Hate to see anyone stirring up unnecessary tension. Things have a way of escalating when outsiders get involved. He stood smoothly, adjusting his gun belt. Well, we won't take any more of your time. Just think about what I said. Sometimes the safest path is the quietest one. The deputies filed out first. Harland paused at the door, tipping his hat. You have yourself a blessed day now, Miss Henderson. Do let us know if you see Mr. Malloy again, for his own good, of course. Maya watched through her window as they drove away, the patrol cars moving unhurried down her street like sharks circling in slow water. Her hands shook as she picked up her phone and called AJ back. They just left, she said, her voice trembling but determined. Sheriff wanted me to take down the video, said it was for everyone's safety. Like hell, AJ growled. Tell me you recorded it? Every word. Maya watched the patrol cars disappear around the corner. The morning sun still shone, the birds still sang, but everything felt different now. She understood with crystal clarity that this wasn't just about one incident at a gas station or one gang of racist bikers. The sheriff's visit had made that perfectly clear. This was about power. Who had it, who didn't, and who got to decide when justice was proper or official. The whole system was designed to protect certain people while keeping others quiet and afraid. I'm not taking it down, Maya said firmly. Not now, not ever. The afternoon sun was sinking when AJ's bus pulled into the Iron County depot. Maya spotted him immediately. Tall and lean in his city clothes, laptop bag slung over one shoulder, already scanning the parking lot with sharp eyes. The moment he saw her, his serious expression melted into a warm smile. Auntie Maya! He wrapped her in a tight hug, and she felt some of her tension release. Having him here made everything feel more manageable. Let me look at you, she said, holding him at arm's length. Despite his professional attire, she still saw the little boy who used to spend summers with her, always with his nose in a computer manual or taking apart old phones. I'm fine, he assured her, but his eyes were worried. You're the one I'm concerned about. Is your car here? I want to see everything. The gas station, the neighborhood, all of it. We need to document the whole picture. They drove slowly through town, AJ taking video on his phone while Maya pointed out landmarks. Sheriff's office is there, she said, nodding at a brick building with patrol cars parked outside. Courthouse next door. They keep everything nice and close. When they passed the gas station, Maya's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Two motorcycles were parked out front, their riders lounging against them with deliberate casualness. Iron County Suns patches visible on their vests. "That's them?" AJ asked quietly, still recording. "Some of them," Maya confirmed. "Not Dwayne, though." The bikers straightened as Maya's car approached, their poses shifting from lazy to predatory. They stared openly as she drove past, one of them pulling out his phone to film them right back. "They're not even trying to hide it," AJ muttered, checking his footage. "Good. Let them show themselves." Later, as evening settled over the county, they pulled into the gravel lot of the Pine Grove Diner, a weathered building set back from the highway, neon coffee cup flickering in the window. Jack Malloy's Harley was already parked in the shadows at the far end. They found him in a corner booth, facing the door, coffee cooling untouched in front of him. His eyes flicked between them, then to the other customers, then the exits, the constant awareness of someone used to watching his back. "Ms. Henderson," he nodded as they slid into the booth. "This must be the nephew I heard about." "Anthony Johnson," AJ offered his hand. "But everyone calls me AJ. Thank you for helping my aunt." Jack's handshake was brief but firm. A waitress brought more coffee, and they sat in awkward silence until she moved away. "I know you've got questions," Jack said finally, his voice low and gravelly. "About my record. About how I knew those guys. Better to get it all out now." Maya studied him in the harsh diner lighting. The bruises from yesterday's fight were darkening on his weathered face, but his eyes were clear and direct. "I appreciate what you did," she said carefully. "But yes, I need to know the truth. All of it." AJ pulled out his phone. "Mind if I record this?" "For documentation only. We need to establish context in case things escalate." Jack considered the phone, then nodded. "Might as well have it on record." He took a long breath, staring into his coffee. 20 years ago, I rode with crews like Dwayne's. Different names, same ugly business. Did things I'm not proud of. Intimidation runs against black families who didn't know their place. Breaking windows, burning crosses, worse sometimes. Maya felt her stomach twist, but kept her face neutral. Jack continued, his voice heavy with old shame. "One night, it went too far. They wanted to firebomb a church, a black church, active in civil rights work. I couldn't. Something broke in me. Couldn't pretend anymore that we were just preserving heritage or whatever lies we told ourselves. I went to the FBI, testified against the whole chapter." "That's why you're on parole?" AJ asked, keeping his tone professional. Jack nodded. "Plea deal. I did time for my part in earlier incidents, but they reduced the sentence for my cooperation. Been trying to not make up for it exactly. You can't make up for that kind of evil, but at least not be part of it anymore. Not stand by when I see it happening." "The Hells Angels patch," Maya said. "How does that fit in?" "Different chapter, different philosophy. They knew my past, knew I'd changed. Gave me a chance to earn my way back to something better. It's complicated." He rubbed his face tiredly. "Look, I'm not asking for forgiveness or trying to play hero. Just wanted you to know who you're dealing with. The whole truth." AJ stopped the recording and slid his phone away. "We're not here to judge your past, Mr. Malloy. We're documenting the present situation. Building a record of what's happening now, who's involved, what we're up against." Outside, the diner's neon cast alternating red and blue shadows across the parking lot. Jack stood at his Harley, lighting a cigarette with cupped hands, the ember briefly illuminating the scars on his knuckles. His eyes never stopped scanning the dark road, watching for headlights or movement in the shadows. "Dwayne won't let this go," he told them, exhaling smoke. "Men like him can't handle being humiliated, especially not in front of their crew. And that visit from Harland, that means they've got friends in high places, the kind that can make evidence disappear or witnesses change their minds. The next morning dawned gray and humid. Maya's alarm hadn't even gone off when she heard AJ's sharp intake of breath from the guest room, followed by rapid footsteps. "Aunt Maya!" His voice carried an urgency that had her throwing off her covers. "You need to see this." She found him at the front window, phone already recording. Through the gauzy curtains, she could see her car in the driveway, and her heart sank. Even from here, the damage was obvious. Deep gouges in the paint, all 4 tires flat and lifeless. "Don't touch anything yet," AJ said quietly. "Let me document everything first." They stepped outside into the muggy morning air. Up close, the vandalism was even worse. Crude racial slurs had been carved into the hood and doors, the metal scarred beyond any simple repair. Glass from her broken taillights crunched under their feet. AJ moved methodically around the vehicle, filming every angle, narrating times and dates in a clear voice. Through partially opened blinds and curtains, faces appeared and disappeared. Neighbors watching but keeping their distance. One elderly woman started to step onto her porch, then caught her husband's warning gesture and retreated inside. "Mrs. Reynolds used to bring me cookies," Maya said softly, watching the closed door. "Now she can't even look me in the eye." AJ squeezed her shoulder. "I'm calling it in. We need an official report, even if nothing comes of it," Maya finished. She knew the drill. Sheriff Harlan took his time arriving. Nearly an hour passed before his cruiser rolled up, followed by a young deputy's car. The sheriff stepped out unhurried, adjusting his hat, scanning the street with the casual interest of someone checking the weather. "Ms. Henderson," he drawled, hands hooked in his belt. "Quite a mess you've got here." "Someone vandalized my car overnight," Maya stated firmly. "The same people who harassed me at the gas station." Harlan circled the car, his boots scuffing through the broken glass. His expression remained pleasant, almost amused. "That's quite an assumption. Could be random vandals, kids acting up, all sorts of possibilities." AJ stepped forward, phone extended. "We have video of the Iron County Suns threatening her just yesterday. The same group that attacked her at the gas station." "Ah, yes, the video." Harlan's smile didn't reach his eyes. "The one where your aunt filmed Mr. Malloy assaulting several local businessmen. Speaking of which, has anyone heard from our Hell's Angel friend lately?" The young deputy was taking desultory notes, his pen barely touching the paper. Maya noticed he wouldn't meet her eyes. "This is a hate crime," AJ pressed. "The slurs alone." "Son," Harlan cut him off, still smiling, "unless you've got video of who did this, or reliable witnesses willing to make statements, there's not much we can do. File the insurance claim. Maybe consider being more neighborly in the future." He touched the brim of his hat and turned away, effectively ending the conversation. The deputy followed, shoulders hunched. Later that afternoon, Jack called from the side of Old Creek Road, his voice tight with pain. A pickup truck with Iron County Suns stickers had forced him onto the gravel shoulder at high speed. He'd kept the bike upright, but scraped his leg badly in the process. "Didn't get a plate," he reported grimly. "They knew what they were doing. Stayed just far enough ahead that I couldn't read it. But I recognized the paint job. It's Dwayne's cousin's truck." That evening, they met Lena Ortiz at her small apartment complex on the edge of town. She'd just finished her shift, still wearing her gas station uniform, and her hands shook as she made them coffee. "They've been coming to the station for years," she said, perching nervously on the edge of her worn couch, "always making comments, scaring away certain customers. Hispanic families, black travelers, they'd circle their cars, make jokes about immigration checks or worse." "And the sheriff?" AJ prompted gently, recording on his laptop. Lena's laugh was bitter. "Oh, he's there all the time, friendly as can be with them. They'll harass someone right in front of him, and he just laughs, calls it boys being boys. One time, they actually knocked down an elderly black man. And Harland? He told the man he must have tripped, said maybe he should be more careful where he walks. Maya saw tears in Lena's eyes. I wanted to help that day at the station, when they surrounded you. But I've seen what happens to people who speak up. You're helping now, Maya assured her. That's what matters. Back at Maya's house, AJ created a secure digital folder. He methodically organized everything: photos of the vandalized car, Jack's detailed description of the road incident, Lena's recorded testimony, the original gas station video, screenshots of online threats, and the sheriff's dismissive response to the damage. The NAACP has a strong local chapter, he said, typing rapidly. And I know a civil rights nonprofit that specializes in cases like this. They need to see all of it. The pattern, the police involvement, everything. Maya watched the progress bar as the files uploaded to the email attachments. Each document, each photo, each video clip felt like another stone being added to a wall between her old life of quiet endurance and whatever came next. Send, AJ said finally, and clicked the button. The messages disappeared into the digital ether, carrying their evidence to people who might be able to help. Maya sat beside him, both of them staring at the screen, feeling the weight of what they'd just set in motion. The next morning's light filtered through Maya's kitchen window as she and AJ huddled over laptops at the breakfast table. Her phone buzzed with an email notification. The civil rights lawyer wanted to meet via video that afternoon. They're taking us seriously, AJ said, relief evident in his voice. But we need more ammunition before that call. His fingers flew across the keyboard, diving deep into local news archives and public records. Maya watched him work, nursing her second coffee. The morning felt heavy with possibility and danger. Jack had texted that he'd join them for the video call from his trailer, not wanting to risk being seen at Maya's house again. Wait! AJ sat up straighter, squinting at his screen. Holy shit! Look at this! He turned his laptop toward Maya. The image was from a local newspaper's website, dated 5 years ago. Iron County Sons host annual charity ride. In the photo, Sheriff Harland stood beaming beside a younger Dwayne Cutter, both men flanking an oversized check made out to some children's foundation. Behind them hung the Iron County Sons banner, complete with their distinctive logo. They're not even trying to hide it, Maya said, studying the familiar sneer on Dwayne's face, the comfortable way Harland's hand rested on his shoulder. There's more. AJ opened another tab. Found a whole gallery. Look, Harland at their clubhouse opening, at summer barbecues, every major Iron County Sons event. He's there, front and center. Maya's phone buzzed again. AJ had set up an encrypted messaging system for anyone wanting to share information safely, and a new contact was reaching out. The message was brief. Young deputy, want to help? Check your email in 5. True to the promise, minutes later, an email arrived with several video attachments. The files were body cam footage, apparently from various traffic stops and casual encounters. In one clip, Harland chatted with Dwayne outside the gas station, both men laughing. Just keeping the peace, Harland's voice came through clearly. Sometimes folks need reminding where they belong. You boys are good at spelling things out. Happy to help educate anyone who needs it, Dwayne replied with a chuckle. Especially if they're, not from around here. Maya felt sick watching their easy camaraderie, the casual way they discussed terrorizing people. AJ downloaded everything, adding it to their growing evidence folder. By early afternoon, they had assembled a disturbing timeline. Years of documented connections between the sheriff's department and the Iron County Sons, punctuated by suspicious traffic stops, dismissed complaints, and convenient police absences during reported harassment. At 2 o'clock sharp, Maya's laptop chimed with the incoming video call. The lawyer, A sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Martinez listened intently as they laid out their findings. Jack joined from his trailer, the wind whistling through his poor connection. "This is compelling," Martinez said finally. "The body cam footage especially. That's going to be hard to explain away. But we need more. Contemporary witnesses, people willing to go on record about current harassment. The historical pattern matters, but recent victims will have more impact." "People are scared," Maya admitted. "The Sons have been here so long, hurt so many families." "That's why building community support is crucial," Martinez replied. "The churches you mentioned, are they willing to let you speak?" Maya nodded. 3 so far. Reverend Wallace at First Baptist, Pastor Rodriguez at Living Word, and Brother Marcus at Mount Zion AME. All outside Iron County, but close enough that their congregations know what's happening here. Good. We need to break the isolation, show people they're not alone. But Martinez leaned closer to her camera. "Be prepared for escalation. Groups like this, when they feel exposed, they often lash out. They'll try to frighten you into silence before the state gets involved." "Already started," Jack growled, holding up his bandaged leg from the road incident. They spent another hour discussing security measures, documentation protocols, and the legal threshold for triggering a state civil rights investigation. By the end, Maya felt both exhausted and energized. They had a plan, allies, and most importantly, proof that the corruption went all the way to the top. That evening, Maya drove to Mount Zion AME Church, the first of her scheduled speaking engagements. The small brick building was packed, faces turned expectantly toward her as she described the gas station attack, the vandalism, the years of silence that had protected the Sons and their enablers. "We've all seen it," she concluded. "We've all felt it. But they count on us being too afraid to stand together. That ends now." The response was powerful. People stood to share their own stories. A teenager harassed at the same gas station, an elderly man run off the road like Jack, a woman whose business had mysteriously burned after she filed a complaint. Each story strengthened their resolve, each voice adding weight to their case. Driving home in the gathering dusk, Maya felt a fierce pride in her community's courage. The street lights were just flickering on as she turned onto her block. A pickup truck crawled past her house, moving deliberately slow. Through the passenger window, she clearly saw a familiar Iron County Sons jacket. The biker's hand rose, drawing a line across his throat with exaggerated menace. Maya watched the red taillights disappear around the corner. Her hands were steady on the steering wheel. Where once that gesture might have made her shrink back, now it only hardened her determination. They wanted her afraid, wanted her silent, but those days were over. The crash of shattering glass jolted Maya from her reading chair. Shards sprayed across her living room floor, glittering in the lamplight. Her heart hammered as she dove behind the sofa, phone already in hand, dialing AJ. "Someone's throwing bricks," she whispered urgently. "Get over here!" The brick lay amid the destruction, a piece of paper tied around it with twine. Maya didn't touch it, remembering AJ's instructions about preserving evidence. Within minutes, she heard his car screech into the driveway. "Don't move anything!" AJ burst through the front door, phone raised to record. He carefully documented the broken window, the scattered glass, and finally the brick itself. With gloved hands, he untied the note and held it up to the camera. "Next time, it ain't just glass. I'm calling Patricia right now," he said, referring to their civil rights lawyer. "This is exactly what she warned us about." His fingers flew across his phone screen while Maya hugged herself, staring at the jagged hole in her window. Red and blue lights strobed through the remaining glass 15 minutes later. 2 deputies stepped carefully through the debris, followed by Sheriff Harland himself. He wore the same pleasant smile he always did, like he was stopping by for coffee, instead of investigating a threat. "Now, Ms. Henderson," he said, notepad open but pen still capped. "Any reason to think this isn't just kids acting up? Friday night. You know how they get." "Kids don't leave death threats," AJ cut in, holding up his phone to show the note. Harland barely glanced at it. "Lots of kids think they're tough guys, making threats they'd never follow through on." "Like the Iron County Suns?" Maya asked quietly. "Are they just playing tough guy games too?" The sheriff's smile tightened. "Let's not jump to conclusions. We'll take a report, increase patrols in the area." He made a few cursory notes, his deputies looking uncomfortable behind him. "We have it all documented," AJ said. "The brick, the note, your response, our lawyer's already been notified." "Well, you just let your fancy lawyer know we're handling it according to procedure." Harlan tipped his hat and left, his patrol car pulling away with deliberate slowness. Maya and AJ spent the next hour boarding up the window. Neither mentioned how the increased patrols would likely mean more harassment, not protection. The next morning brought worse news. Jack called, voice rough with barely controlled anger. "They shot up my trailer last night," he reported. "Drive-by around 3 a.m. Black pickup? Couldn't catch the plates." He described the bullet holes puncturing his walls, how he'd hit the floor at the first shot. "Been around enough gunfire to know when to duck," he said grimly. "You need to stay somewhere else," Maya insisted. "No, I'm staying right here, but I'm sleeping ready now, boots on, weapons close." There was a pause, then Jack added quietly, "Got my old combat knife from Nam, baseball bat too. Let them try coming inside." That afternoon, Maya spoke at Living Word Church, her voice steady despite her sleepless night. The congregation sat in stunned silence as she described the escalating attacks. When she finished, an elderly black woman stood up. "They ran my grandson out of town in '95, she declared. "Same gang, same tricks." Sheriff back then looked the other way too. Others began standing, sharing similar stories. Businesses threatened, homes vandalized, children terrorized. AJ recorded everything, his laptop filling with testimonies spanning decades. A pattern emerged. The Iron County Suns would target anyone they deemed outsiders, while local law enforcement consistently minimized or ignored the violence. The next evening at First Baptist, the crowd had grown. Latino families filled several pews, nodding grimly as Maya spoke. White faces dotted the gathering too. Former victims, concerned citizens, people finally willing to acknowledge the rot in their community. "My husband's garage was vandalized last year," a white woman testified, voice shaking. "We knew who did it. They'd been threatening him for hiring Mexican mechanics. But the sheriff's office said there wasn't enough evidence." Social media amplified their voices. AJ's careful documentation spread across platforms. The gas station attack, the vandalism, the brick, Jack's bullet-riddled trailer. Each post tagged relevant authorities and civil rights organizations. The story began appearing on local news sites, then regional ones. "Look at this," AJ said 3 days later, showing Maya his phone. A reporter from the state capitol had picked up the story, focusing on the documented connection between Sheriff Harland and the Iron County Suns. The article included the charity ride photo and quotes from the leaked body cam footage. Maya's phone rang an hour later. Patricia Martinez, their lawyer, calling with news. "The Attorney General's office reached out," she said without preamble. "They've been monitoring the social media coverage and news reports. They want everything we've got. All the documentation, testimonies, photos, videos. They're particularly interested in evidence of Sheriff Harland's involvement." "Are they actually going to do something?" Maya asked, hardly daring to hope. "They're being careful with their language, but yes, I believe they are. Keep gathering evidence. Keep speaking out. The pressure is working." That evening, Maya stood at her boarded-up window, remembering the brick's trajectory, the explosion of glass, the crude threat. Outside, a patrol car rolled past, one of Harlan's promised increased patrols. The deputy inside didn't wave or slow down, just watched her house with empty eyes. Her phone buzzed with another message from Jack. "More bikes circling my place. Letting you know where I am if anything happens." She typed back quickly, making sure he knew to keep recording everything. The Iron County Suns were escalating, but so was the resistance against them. Every threat they made, every act of intimidation, only added to the mounting evidence of their crimes. Maya touched the rough plywood covering her window, feeling not fear, but a grim satisfaction. They thought violence would silence her. Instead, it was giving her a louder voice. Maya stood in her kitchen, watching the morning news with AJ. The anchor's voice filled the room. The State Attorney General's office has announced a preliminary civil rights investigation into allegations of systemic racism and corruption in Iron County law enforcement, specifically focusing on connections between the Sheriff's Department and a local motorcycle gang known as the Iron County Suns. "They're actually doing it," Maya whispered, gripping her coffee mug tight. Camera crews descended on their small town like locusts. The gas station where it all began became their favorite backdrop, reporters standing where Maya had once feared for her life. Lena watched nervously from behind the counter as journalists interviewed locals about the Iron County Suns and Sheriff Harland. By noon, Sheriff Harland called an emergency press conference on the courthouse steps. He stood at the podium in his crisp uniform, badges gleaming, the picture of rural law enforcement. "These allegations are nothing more than political attacks," he declared, voice steady but eyes hard. "Our department has always served all citizens equally under the law. Any suggestion otherwise is simply false." The reporters weren't buying it. A journalist from Atlanta thrust her microphone forward. "Sheriff, how do you explain these photos showing you at multiple events with Dwayne Cutter, the gang leader currently under investigation?" "Those were charity events," Harland replied smoothly. "The Iron County Suns participate in toy drives, fundraisers. As sheriff, I attend many community functions. What about the body cam footage where you discuss scaring off outsiders with Mr. Cutter?" Another reporter called out. Harland's smile tightened. "That footage is taken completely out of context. We were discussing legitimate concerns about drug trafficking from outside our jurisdiction." The questions grew more pointed. Harland's answers became increasingly clipped. When asked about Maya's viral video, he insisted he couldn't comment on ongoing investigations. That afternoon, the district attorney's office announced assault charges against Dwayne Cutter and 2 other Iron County Suns members for the gas station attack. The DA looked uncomfortable at his own press conference, reading from prepared statements and refusing follow-up questions. The evidence, including video footage and witness statements, supports charging these individuals with assault, intimidation, and civil rights violations, he recited mechanically. Maya watched it all unfold on AJ's laptop in her living room. Jack sat in her reading chair, his weathered face unreadable. "They're actually doing something," Maya said. "The system's working." "Don't celebrate yet," Jack warned, but even he couldn't completely hide his relief. Support poured in from everywhere. After Sunday service, church members hugged Maya, congratulating her on standing strong. Online messages praised her courage. Local teenagers made TikTok videos about taking down corrupt cops. The Iron County Suns were notably absent from their usual haunts. No more intimidating loitering at the gas station, no more threatening drive-bys. "Maybe they finally got the message," AJ said hopefully, scrolling through positive comments on their latest social media updates. Maya spoke at a community meeting that evening, sharing her story again, but this time with triumph rather than fear. "This isn't just about one incident or one group," she told the packed room. This is about changing a system that protected bullies and punished victims. We're showing that justice is possible when we stand together." The crowd applauded. Even some white residents who'd initially been skeptical now nodded along. The mood was cautiously optimistic. Local news covered the state investigation's first steps. Investigators interviewed witnesses, collected documents, and reviewed years of complaint records. Maya provided them with AJ's meticulously organized evidence file. The civil rights lawyers seemed confident. "This is textbook systemic discrimination," Patricia Martinez told them during a video call. "The state has everything they need to act." For the first time in weeks, Maya slept through the night without startling at every sound. The boarded window remained an ugly reminder, but it felt more like a badge of honor now. Proof that she'd stood her ground and won. Jack maintained his vigilance but allowed himself small moments of peace. He fixed his bullet-damaged trailer, replaced some furniture, and even started talking about teaching motorcycle maintenance at the community college. "Might as well use my skills for something good," he said gruffly, when Maya expressed surprise at his plans. A week into the investigation, Maya drove past the gas station and saw no Confederate flags, no threatening bikers, just ordinary customers going about their day. Lena waved from behind the counter, standing taller now. The Iron County Suns had grown quieter, their usual swagger dampened by public scrutiny and pending charges. When they did appear in town, they kept their heads down and avoided eye contact. Their silence felt like victory. That evening, Jack finished some late repairs on his Harley and headed home as the sun set. The familiar rumble of his bike echoed off empty buildings as he took the back roads to avoid attention. Old habits die hard. In his mirrors, headlights appeared. Then more headlights. A convoy of bikes and trucks materialized behind him, gaining speed. Jack recognized the lead truck, Dwayne's black pickup. "Damn," Jack muttered as the vehicles closed in tight around him, their engines drowning out his own. The apparent peace had been an illusion. The Iron County Suns weren't done at all. The convoy's headlights blazed in Jack's mirrors as they herded him toward the empty strip mall. His decades of riding experience told him they'd planned this carefully. The location was perfect for an ambush. Dark, isolated, no cameras, no witnesses. The black pickup accelerated, cutting off his escape route. Jack's tires squealed as he was forced to turn into the abandoned parking lot. Broken streetlights cast weak pools of light across cracked asphalt. Weeds pushed through the concrete, nature slowly reclaiming this forgotten space. Engines roared as bikes and trucks boxed him in. Jack killed his Harley's engine, planted his boots on the ground, and faced the approaching figures. He counted at least 8 men emerging from vehicles. Dwayne Cutter stepped into the dim light, a crowbar gleaming in his hand. "Time to retire, old man," Dwayne sneered. "Should have stayed in your lane. Still need a whole gang to face one grandpa?" Jack's voice was steady despite his racing heart. His fingers wrapped around the thick metal chain he'd started carrying in his jacket. They came at him from all sides. Jack swung the chain in a wide arc, catching the first attacker across the face. Bone crunched. The man went down screaming. Jack drove his knee into another's groin, then smashed an elbow into approaching teeth. But there were too many. A crowbar caught him in the ribs. Once, twice. Sharp pain exploded through his chest. He staggered but managed to grab the weapon, yanking its wielder off balance. Jack's fist connected with the man's nose, spraying blood. "Hold him!" Dwayne barked. Strong hands grabbed Jack's arms. He thrashed and broke free, but a boot swept his legs. He hit the pavement hard. Steel-toed boots slammed into his sides. Someone stomped on his hand. Jack curled inward, protecting his vital organs like he'd learned in prison fights years ago. The beating seemed endless. Jack's vision blurred. Blood filled his mouth. His ribs screamed in agony with each labored breath. Through the pain, he heard Dwayne's voice. "That's enough. Let the cops find him." Sirens wailed in the distance. Jack tried to push himself up, but collapsed. His face pressed against cool asphalt as red and blue lights painted the walls. He recognized Sheriff Harlan's voice before darkness clouded his vision. "Well, well," Harlan drawled. "Looks like we caught ourselves a parole violator starting fights again." "He jumped us," Dwayne said, his voice thick with fake innocence. "We were just defending ourselves from this dangerous felon." Rough hands yanked Jack's arms behind his back. Handcuffs bit into his wrists. The cold metal felt familiar, a reminder of the life he'd tried to leave behind. "You're under arrest for assault and parole violation," Harlan announced loudly, playing to his audience of deputies. "Get him up." They hauled Jack to his feet. His legs barely supported him. Through swollen eyes, he saw the Iron County Suns watching, their faces smug with victory. His beloved Harley lay on its side, chrome scratched, mirrors shattered. Across town, other pieces of their carefully built case were crumbling. At the gas station, the manager discovered the security system's hard drive had mysteriously failed. Hours of footage, including backup angles of the original assault on Maya, vanished into digital nothing. In Sheriff Harlan's office, Lena Ortiz sat rigid with fear. Her hands trembled as Harlan leaned over his desk, his friendly smile more threatening than any shout. "Now, Lena," he said softly, "we both know you were confused that day. Stress can play tricks on memory, and we wouldn't want any complications with your employment status or immigration matters." "I'm a citizen," Lena whispered, "born in Arizona. Papers can get lost. Records can be questioned." Harlan slid a document across his desk. "This statement just clarifies what you really saw. Nothing complicated." Lena stared at the paper, tears blurring the words that would undo their case. Her signature would label Maya a liar, paint Jack as the aggressor. But her children needed her job. She couldn't risk everything. With a shaking hand, she signed. The young deputy who'd leaked the damaging body cam footage found his locker cleaned out. A suspension notice citing misconduct under investigation taped to the door. His calls to the police union went straight to voicemail. In Maya's living room, AJ held his aunt as she broke down. Her shoulders shook with sobs of fury and despair. "They're going to get away with everything," she choked out. "Again. They always do." "We'll fight back," AJ promised, but his voice lacked conviction. Their evidence was vanishing. Their witnesses were being silenced. The system they'd trusted was revealing its true colors. In the county jail, Jack sat alone in a cramped cell. His face was a mass of bruises, dried blood crusted in his beard. Each breath sent daggers through his broken ribs. The familiar smell of disinfectant and despair brought back decades of memories he'd tried to bury. He leaned his head against the cold concrete wall, tasting copper in his mouth. In all his years of violence and redemption, he'd always believed he could fight his way free. But this cell felt different. This time, the cage seemed final. From the drunk tank down the hall, voices sang an off-key country song about freedom. Jack closed his eyes, remembering Maya's determination, her refusal to back down. He'd failed her, failed himself. The darkness of the cell wrapped around him like an old friend come to stay. The county jail's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across Jack's bruised face. Maya and AJ sat across from him at the scratched visitation table, taking in his injuries. Bandages wrapped his ribs beneath the orange jumpsuit. His right eye was swollen nearly shut, and dried blood crusted at the corner of his split lip. "You need to leave town," Jack said, his voice rough. "Get out while you still can. Move to the city with AJ. Start fresh somewhere they can't touch you." Maya's hands tightened around her purse. That's not happening. They'll kill you if you stay. Jack leaned forward, wincing at the movement. These men, I used to be one of them. I know what they're capable of. You saw what they did to me. I see what they did. Maya's voice was steel. I see exactly what they did, and that's why I'm not going anywhere. Maya, please. No, she cut him off. You don't get to decide when I stop fighting. You don't get to tell me to run and hide. I've spent my whole life being careful, being quiet, trying not to make waves. Where did that get us? Jack slumped back in his chair, the fight draining from his face. I watched them beat you because you stood up for me, Maya continued. I watched them arrest you instead of them. Now you want me to let them win? To prove they can chase anyone away who dares to challenge them? They've already won, Jack muttered. Look around. I'm in here. Evidence is gone. Witnesses are scared silent. They haven't won anything, AJ interjected. The state investigation is still open. Federal civil rights people are watching. We just need to be smarter about how we fight back. Maya reached across the table, her hand stopping just short of Jack's battered knuckles. You didn't give up on me at that gas station. Don't give up now. Something flickered in Jack's good eye, a spark of his old defiance. You're both crazy, he said, but his voice held a hint of warmth. Probably, Maya agreed. But I'm done being their victim. Done being their cautionary tale about staying in my place. You with us? Jack studied her face for a long moment. Finally, he gave a slight nod. Not like I've got anything better to do in here. The visit ended too soon. As guards led Jack back to his cell, Maya and AJ exchanged determined looks. They had work to do. 2 hours later, they sat at Maya's kitchen table with their lawyer, Sandra Chen, spreading documents across the scarred wood surface. Coffee cups and legal pads crowded between laptops and phones. The local system is completely compromised, Sandra said, tapping a stack of papers. Sheriff, DA, half the deputies. They're all tangled up with the Iron County Suns. But that corruption actually gives us leverage with state and federal authorities. The suspended deputy sent more proof. AJ pulled up encrypted messages on his laptop. Internal memos showing Harland ordered evidence deleted. Witnesses pressured. He was sloppy. Left a paper trail. Good, Sandra nodded. But we need more than paper. We need undeniable proof they can't make disappear. Maya wrapped her hands around her coffee mug, thinking, what about phones? Everyone films everything these days. They'll just confiscate phones, crash hard drives. AJ shook his head. Then his eyes lit up. Unless we don't store anything locally, we live stream everything. Live stream? Maya asked. Multiple encrypted feeds going straight to cloud servers, social media, news outlets. AJ's fingers flew across his keyboard. If enough people are watching in real time, they can't cover it up. We just need to get them to incriminate themselves on camera. They're too careful now, Sandra warned. After the gas station video, they'll watch what they say and do in public. Then we need them somewhere they feel safe, Maya said. Somewhere they think they can talk freely. AJ's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then sat up straighter. Speaking of safe spaces, just got an anonymous tip. The Iron County Suns are planning a big freedom rally next weekend. Rural warehouse out past the county line, expecting a huge turnout. Maya met his eyes across the table. The same realization hit them both. This was their chance. A gathering where the gang would be drunk, armed, and arrogant. Where Harland would likely show up off-duty, guard down. Where they could catch everything on multiple live streams before anyone realized what was happening. It's risky, Sandra cautioned. If they catch you filming, everything about this is risky, Maya replied. But we've found our stage. Now, we just need to plan how to use it. AJ was already typing furiously, muttering about camera angles and backup streams. Maya sipped her coffee, imagining the warehouse filled with Iron County Suns, imagining finally exposing every ugly truth they'd tried to bury. Her hand still ached from gripping the visitation table, from wanting to reach out to Jack, but being stopped by rules and plexiglass. She thought of him sitting in his cell, bruised but not broken. Thought of Lena signing that statement under duress. The young deputy stripped of his badge for doing the right thing. All the people these men had hurt and scared over the years, thinking they were untouchable. "We'll need help," she said. "People we can trust to be in position with cameras. People brave enough to stand with us. I know some activists who'd come down from the city," AJ offered. "They know how to document this stuff safely." Sandra started making notes. "I'll alert some colleagues to be ready, have people monitoring the streams. If we catch anything criminal, we can move fast." The kitchen filled with the energy of purpose, of a plan taking shape. Outside, afternoon sun slanted through the windows, casting long shadows across the yard where the gang had left their threats. But Maya didn't feel afraid anymore. She felt ready. The metal door of the county jail groaned open. Jack stepped into the harsh sunlight, squinting as Maya and AJ hurried to meet him. His face was still a mess of purple and yellow bruises, but his eyes held steady determination. "Bond went through faster than expected," he said, limping toward Maya's car. "Your lawyer's good." "Sandra knows how to push the right buttons," AJ replied. "Those photos of your injuries hit social media hard. Plus the deputy's statement about the arrest being suspicious. They couldn't keep you without looking worse." Maya opened the passenger door for Jack, noticing how he winced getting in. "How are the ribs?" "Been better. Been worse." Jack adjusted himself carefully in the seat. "Where are we meeting, everyone?" "Old church basement on Oak Street," AJ said from the back. "Pastor's sympathetic, but wants deniability. We go in different doors, different times." They drove through town carefully, watching for followers. The church sat quiet and dark, its worn brick walls offering silent protection. They entered through the side door, one at a time, descending creaking stairs to where a single bulb lit the basement meeting room. The suspended deputy, James Wilson, was already there, still strange to see in civilian clothes instead of his uniform. He had a stack of papers on the folding table in front of him. "Took these before they suspended me," he said without preamble. "Harlan's emails going back 6 months. Look at the highlighted parts." Maya leaned over the printouts. Phrases jumped out. "Keep the boys safe from complications. Know how to shut down complainers. Handle it like always." Nothing explicitly criminal, but the pattern was clear. "He was careful with words," Wilson said. "But anyone reading these knows what he meant. The sons do whatever they want, and he makes sure nothing sticks." "We need more than implications," Jack said, easing himself into a metal chair. "Need them saying it outright." The basement door creaked again. Lena Ortiz slipped in, looking over her shoulder despite being alone. Her hands twisted nervously in front of her. "I'm sorry I'm late," she whispered. "Had to make sure no one followed." "You okay?" Maya asked gently. "You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do." Lena's voice strengthened slightly. "I let them scare me into lying. I need to make it right." AJ pulled equipment from his backpack. Tiny cameras, microphones, earpieces. "These are professional grade. The camera looks like a shirt button. Mic clips inside your collar. Sound and video upload instantly to secure servers." He demonstrated the setup while explaining, "We'll have multiple live streams running. Different angles, different platforms. Everything backs up automatically to cloud storage that the state AG's office can access. Even if they find one camera, others will keep recording." "I got word the rally's expecting over 100 people," Wilson added. "Lots of alcohol, probably weapons. They'll be showing off, running their mouths." "That's what we need," Maya said. "Them bragging about what they've done when they think they're safe." Jack shifted, grimacing at his ribs. What's the cover story for Lena being there? Local restaurant agreed to let me wear their delivery uniform, Lena said. They often cater biker events. No one looks twice at the help. They spent the next hour rehearsing scenarios. Lena practiced activating the camera naturally, positioning herself to capture conversations. Wilson mapped out where state police could stage nearby without being spotted. Maya and AJ would wait in their car with backup equipment, monitoring feeds. Remember, AJ stressed, we're not trying to catch random bikers being racist. We need clear evidence linking Harland to the son's crimes. Need them talking about the gas station attack, the witness intimidation, the evidence tampering. And if things go bad? Maya asked. I'll have state police on speed dial, Wilson said. First sign of real trouble, we shut it down. Jack's face darkened. They'll be armed, drunk, angry about the investigation. Everyone needs to be careful. They ran through the plan twice more, checking equipment, confirming signals. The basement felt close and warm, thick with tension and purpose. Finally, days later, the afternoon of the rally arrived. Maya stood in her bedroom, checking her appearance one last time. Simple clothes, nothing memorable. Her hands were steady as she packed AJ's spare cameras into her purse. Across town, Lena put on the restaurant's red polo shirt, practiced her nervous smile in the mirror until it looked natural. Wilson cleaned his personal firearm, badge locked away in a drawer. Citizen now instead of deputy. Jack stood in his trailer, carefully pulling on his leather cut despite protesting ribs. The Hell's Angels patches felt heavy on his shoulders. His reflection showed a man battered but unbowed, scars telling stories of survival. AJ did final checks on his equipment, muttering technical specifications like prayers. Backup batteries, extra memory cards, redundant uploads. Everything had to work perfectly. Maya picked up Jack first. He moved stiffly, but insisted on carrying his own weight to the car. AJ squeezed into the back with his gear, tablets already monitoring preliminary feeds. They drove east as the sun began its descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. The warehouse waited ahead, already echoing with the sound of arriving motorcycles. Maya's hands were tight on the steering wheel, but her voice was calm when she spoke. Everyone ready? Jack nodded once, sharp and certain. AJ gave a thumbs up from behind his screens. In other cars, in other places, their allies were moving into position, carrying truth like a weapon. The warehouse grew larger in the windshield. Bikes lined the gravel lot, their chrome catching the dying sunlight. Confederate flags snapped in the breeze. The Iron County sun's colors flew proud and dark against the evening sky, not knowing they'd invited justice to their party. The warehouse parking lot blazed with headlights and torches as bikes and trucks packed the gravel. Confederate flags hung from poles and tailgates, while Iron County sun's patches dotted the growing crowd like dark badges of hate. Music thundered from massive speakers, drowning out individual voices into a threatening roar. Dwayne Cutter sprawled in a camping chair near the warehouse entrance, holding court like a backwoods king. Empty beer cans littered the ground around his boots. His bruises from the gas station fight had faded, but the humiliation still burned hot. "Ain't nobody gonna make fools of us in our own county," he slurred to the circle of nodding bikers. "That old man thought his Angels patch meant something. We showed him different, didn't we, boys?" Laughter rippled through his audience. Lena approached with a tray of sandwiches, keeping her eyes down, her borrowed red polo shirt making her nearly invisible to the partying bikers. The hidden camera, disguised as a button, captured everything. "Pass them sandwiches here, girl," Dwayne called, waving her closer. She complied, positioning herself perfectly as he continued bragging. "Should have seen that traitor Malloy when we caught him in that lot. All that tough talk at the gas station? Gone real quick when 6 of us had him down." More cheers, Lena's hands trembled slightly as she served food, but the camera stayed steady. Outside in Maya's car, AJ watched multiple video feeds on his laptop screen, giving quiet updates through their earpieces. "Audio's clear," he whispered. "Everything's uploading in real time." Dwayne grabbed another beer, spilling foam as he gestured. "And that nurse thinking she could shame us with her little video? That brick through her window was just the start. She'll learn. They all learn. Sheriff's got our backs anyway," someone added, and Dwayne grinned wide. "Hell yeah, he does. Harland knows how to make charges disappear. Been doing it for years." He crushed his empty can. That's what you get when you keep the right people happy. In the shadows by the warehouse's side door, Maya and Jack listened through their earpieces. Jack's ribs ached under his leather cut, but his eyes were sharp and focused. "Got enough?" he muttered. "Feed's solid," AJ confirmed through the earpiece. "State AG's office is watching live. Multiple backups running." Maya nodded once, steel in her spine. "Let's do it." They stepped through the door into harsh fluorescent light. The warehouse fell quiet in waves as people noticed them, music suddenly seeming too loud in the tension. Dwayne stood, swaying slightly, face twisting from shock to rage. Well, he sneered. "The nurse and the traitor coming to get beat down proper this time." "We heard you confessing, Dwayne," Maya said clearly, her voice carrying. "To assault, vandalism, witness intimidation. Hundreds of people are watching this live stream right now, including state authorities." Dwayne's face purpled. "Shut your mouth. Bye." "Including," Jack cut in, "your cute story about Sheriff Harland fixing cases for you." Dwayne's hand chopped through the air. "Take them!" The warehouse erupted. Bikers surged forward as Lena scrambled for safety, camera still rolling. Two men rushed Jack from the front, while another tried circling behind. Despite his injured ribs, Jack moved with brutal efficiency. He grabbed a pool cue from a nearby table, cracking it across the first attacker's face. The man dropped, blood spraying. Jack swept the broken cue low, taking out the second biker's knee with a wet crunch. The third man swung a chain. Jack caught it around his forearm, yanking the biker off balance and driving an elbow into his throat. More attackers came. Jack used everything in reach: chairs, bottles, tools from workbenches. Each movement was precise, each strike devastating. Maya saw a biker sneaking up behind Jack with a raised wrench. She grabbed a metal bar from a shelf and swung hard, connecting with the man's forearm. Bone snapped. He screamed, weapon clattering to the floor. "Camera's running!" AJ's voice crackled through their earpieces. "Every angle!" Dwayne bellowed and charged Jack directly. They crashed together like bulls, trading brutal shots. Jack's ribs screamed as Dwayne landed a heavy punch, but he answered with a savage headbutt that rocked the younger man back. They grappled and struck, smashing through tables and sending bikers scrambling. Despite his injuries, Jack's experience showed. He methodically broke Dwayne down with precision strikes to joints and vital areas. A final thunderous right hand dropped Dwayne to the concrete. He tried to rise and couldn't, blood streaming from his nose and mouth. Distant sirens began to wail. Dwayne's hand darted to his boot, coming up with a hunting knife. The blade slashed across Jack's forearm as he raised it defensively. But before Dwayne could strike again, Jack trapped his wrist and twisted sharply. The knife clattered away. Jack drove his knee into Dwayne's sternum and pinned him face down, arm wrenched up behind his back. Red and blue lights began strobing through the warehouse windows, painting the scene in police colors as the sirens grew louder. Red and blue lights strobed across the warehouse as state police cruisers and unmarked federal vehicles flooded the lot. Engines died, doors slammed, and officers emerged with weapons drawn. The live stream cameras kept rolling, capturing everything in stark detail. Jack pinning Dwayne to the concrete. Bloodied bikers sprawled or kneeling. Weapons scattered across the floor. "Police! Everyone on the ground!" Commands echoed through the space as tactical teams swept in, methodically securing each section. Dwayne struggled weakly under Jack's grip. "You can't do this to me! This is my county!" "Not anymore," Maya said, standing tall despite her racing heart. State officers approached carefully. "Sir, we'll take him now," one said to Jack, who nodded and eased back, letting them cuff Dwayne. "Dwayne Cutter," the lead agent announced. "You're under arrest for assault, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit hate crimes." "This is garbage!" Dwayne spat blood. "Call Harland. He'll straighten this out." AJ emerged from his surveillance position, laptop in hand. Every confession is recorded and backed up to multiple secure servers, including the parts about Sheriff Harland fixing cases. Around them, other Iron County sons were being zip-tied and searched. Officers found brass knuckles, illegal knives, and several unregistered guns in their vehicles. The bikers' faces showed shock as they realized their usual protectors weren't coming to help. Lena stepped forward, still wearing her borrowed polo, and handed her recording devices to a federal agent. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady as she gave her statement about years of witnessed intimidation. Tires crunched on gravel outside. Sheriff Roy Harland burst through the door, face purple with rage. Two deputies flanked him, looking uncertain. "What the hell is this?" he demanded. "This is my jurisdiction. You have no authority." A stern-faced state investigator cut him off. "Actually, Sheriff, we have full authority under federal civil rights statutes." She held up a thick folder. "These are transcripts of your emails discussing case fixing with Mr. Cutter, plus financial records showing unusual payments from Iron County Sons affiliated businesses to your re-election campaign." "That's ridiculous," Harland sputtered. "You can't—" "We also have tonight's live stream." The investigator nodded to a tablet showing Dwayne's drunken boasting about their arrangement. Multiple witnesses, multiple angles, all broadcast live to state and federal offices. Harland's face went from purple to ash. One of his deputies took a step back. "Roy Harland," the investigator continued, "you're under arrest for conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and violation of civil rights under color of authority." "Don't you dare!" Harland growled as she approached with handcuffs. "I've worn this badge for 28 years." "Not anymore." She nodded to his chest. "Remove it." A young deputy, the same one who'd leaked the original body cam footage, stepped forward. With trembling fingers, he unpinned Harland's badge. The sharp click seemed to echo through the warehouse. Harland's shoulders slumped as the cuffs closed around his wrists. The man who'd terrorized the county for decades suddenly looked small and old in the flashing lights. Maya watched them lead both Harland and Dwayne out, followed by a parade of cuffed bikers. Her phone buzzed with messages from AJ's live stream viewers celebrating justice being served. Tears pricked her eyes, but she blinked them back. This wasn't time for crying. State officers spent hours processing the scene. Maya, Jack, and Lena gave detailed statements. Their lawyer arrived, ensuring everything was properly documented. News vans began appearing outside, reporters hungry for the story of small-town corruption exposed. "You okay?" Jack asked Maya quietly as paramedics checked his knife wound. She nodded. "Better than okay. For the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe in this town." Over the following weeks, the justice system moved with unprecedented speed. Federal prosecutors filed hate crime indictments against Dwayne and his top lieutenants. Civil rights attorneys launched suits against Iron County and the gas station's corporate parent for enabling years of discriminatory harassment. The evidence was overwhelming, Videos, emails, financial records, and dozens of witnesses painted a clear picture of systemic racism and corruption. The gas station corporation, desperate to avoid publicity, offered Maya a substantial settlement. She used it to partner with local Black and Latino investors, buying the franchise outright. Together with Lena and other community allies, Maya established a justice center in a converted storefront downtown. They created programs to document hate incidents, provide legal support, and help victims tell their stories safely. The center quickly became a symbol of change in Iron County. Jack's cooperation with investigators and clear evidence of personal reformation led to his early release from parole. His criminal record was partially expunged, opening new opportunities. A community college offered him a position teaching motorcycle maintenance, working specifically with at-risk youth to provide alternatives to gang life. The gas station underwent a complete transformation. Gone were the Confederate flags and threatening stickers. Fresh paint brightened the walls, and security cameras, their footage backed up to multiple locations, kept watch. A local artist painted a striking mural along one wall, diverse hands working together to break iron chains. Months after the warehouse raid, Maya stood behind the register on a quiet afternoon. The door chimed as Jack's Harley rumbled into the lot. He parked and stretched, his injured arm fully healed. Another customer approached, a black teenager Maya hadn't seen before. He hesitated at the entrance, eyeing Jack's leather cut nervously. "You're safe here," Maya called warmly. "We made sure of it." I hope you enjoyed that story. Please like the video and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. In the meantime, I have handpicked 2 stories for you that I think you will enjoy. Have a great day.